When people think of Nintendo, they usually picture bright colors, cheerful music, and characters like Mario or Kirby. But hidden across their history are games that feel surprisingly bleak. Stories about extinction, loss, isolation, and worlds already past the point of saving. These aren't horror games, they're just darker than you'd expect from Nintendo. Here are 5 Nintendo games that felt far more unsettling than they should have. Kirby is supposed to be one of Nintendo's happiest characters, but Kirby's Dream Land 3 feels strangely quiet. The visuals look like they were drawn in pastel crayons, and the soundtrack is soft and slow. But the world itself feels empty. Long stretches of levels pass without much happening, and the enemies feel abstract and unfamiliar. Even the true final boss, Zero, appears as a floating eyeball that bleeds when you defeat it, something that feels completely out of place in a Kirby game. Nothing here is explicitly scary, but the mood is strange, almost melancholic. It's one of the few Nintendo games that feels peaceful on the surface and quietly unsettling underneath. In Demon's Crest, you don't play as a hero. You play as Firebrand, a demon fighting other demons in a ruined underworld. There are no villages to save, no grateful NPCs, and no sense of hope. The world feels abandoned. Every level looks like the aftermath of a war that already happened. The music is slow and heavy, and the game's multiple endings suggest that even victory doesn't really fix anything. At best, you survive. At worst, the world remains exactly as broken as before. For a SNES game published by Nintendo, Demon's Crest feels unusually cold and hopeless. Most Metroid games are about isolation. Metroid Fusion takes that idea and pushes it further. Samus is infected by a parasite and nearly dies. Her body is altered, her suit is fused to her skin, and a new creature, the Sayax, begins hunting her through the station. And the worst part is, the Sayax is basically her. It moves like her, uses her weapons, and destroys anything in its path. You're not the strongest being in the game anymore. You're prey. The sterile space station, the quiet characters, and the constant threat of something stronger than you creates one of the most tense and uncomfortable atmospheres Nintendo ever produced. Illusion of Gaia starts like a normal adventure, but as the story unfolds, it becomes clear this world is falling apart. Civilizations collapse, entire towns vanish, and several characters simply die along the way. There's no big heroic victory speech at the end. Instead, the game feels like a journey through a dying world. The ruins feel lonely, the music often sounds mournful, and the story quietly reminds you that not everyone makes it to the ending. It's one of the most emotionally heavy games on the SNES, especially for something published under the Nintendo label. Mother 3 looks like a cheerful RPG with bright colors and simple characters. But underneath that style is one of the most tragic stories Nintendo ever allowed. It begins with a family torn apart by loss. As the game continues, the world itself is slowly corrupted by an invading army, strange technology, and forced modernization. Characters suffer, relationships fall apart, and the final battle isn't about saving the world, it's about facing the pain that's already happened. The ending is quiet, ambiguous, and emotional. There's no triumphant celebration, just reflection. For many players, it's one of the most powerful and darkest Nintendo stories ever told. Nintendo is known for optimism and charm, but every so often they release something that feels a little colder, a little quieter, and a lot more reflective. And those games often end up being some of their most memorable.